Hey there, Mama, and welcome back to the Mom's Overcoming Overwhelm podcast, episode number 245. I'm Emily McDermott, and I'm here beside you on this journey as we work together to declutter your home, head, and heart. Well, I'm here in my new house. I have settled in, still have several things to do, but today I'm bringing you an episode about reverse decluttering, which has actually been really helpful for me as I'm moving in and figuring out in this new space what we need and what we don't need. And if you don't know what reverse decluttering is, we are going to get into all the things today on the episode. I am going to be giving you some examples of how to use reverse decluttering in your home, and also 5 steps that you can take regardless of the area of your home that you're working in that you can use reverse decluttering. So what do you say? Grab the notebook and pen and let's dive into today's episode. Hey Mama, are you tired of your cluttered home and mile-long to-do lists but are too overwhelmed to know where to start? Do you lack the time and motivation and don't think you'll ever conquer the clutter? You're in the right place. I'm Emily, wife, boy mom, and declutter coach who has overcome the overwhelm in my own life through decluttering and simplifying. I believe every mom deserves the peace that comes from a clutter-free home. Ready to get your life back? Let's declutter your home, head, and heart together. This week in the Facebook group, we've actually been having a reverse decluttering challenge. And we do these challenges every couple weeks. So if you are interested in joining the group, you can head on over to tinyurl.com/moms overcoming overwhelm. Please be sure to answer all the membership questions and I will be happy to approve you. And then you can jump into the end of this challenge or perhaps wait until our next challenge. So what is reverse decluttering? Well, a lot of times when people think about decluttering, they think about how hard it is, because it is hard. It's decision making, it takes time, it takes energy. You're focusing on what don't I need? What do I have to get rid of? And reverse decluttering is kind of turning that on its head and saying, okay, what if I focus on what I want to keep rather than what I want to get rid of? And when you're focusing on what you want to keep, then that is coming from a place of intentionality, living in alignment with what's important to you, how you want to use the space, how you want it to function, how it can support you. So it's less risky. It's also less emotionally taxing to look at it from that perspective. And you may be familiar with some examples of reverse decluttering already. One of the most popular ones is the reverse hanger trick. And if you haven't done this before, this is a really helpful one. You pretty much are taking a look at your entire closet, anything that you have hanging. You're going to reverse the hangers, and then anytime you use something, you switch the direction of the hanger so you know that you have worn it. Now, when I recommend this in my community, I typically recommend you do like a first pass. If you can do a first pass of your clothing and know for sure, like, oh yeah, this doesn't fit me, I don't want this, I want to get rid of this, that will kind of help. You can thin things out a little bit on the front end. And then with what you have remaining, you can reverse those hangers. Now, the important thing for all of these reverse decluttering examples is that you are checking back in after a certain period of time. The period of time depends on the category. It also depends on you and how frequently, for example, you do laundry and that kind of thing. So in this situation with the reverse hanger trick, perhaps you would put a reminder on your phone after maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and you're going to see what clothing you have not worn in that 2 to 3 weeks. And later when we go over the 5 general steps, we'll get into like, okay, now I see what I haven't used, what do I do? But let me give you one more example. This actually comes from the minimalists. Back when I learned about minimalism back in 2014, I read the book Everything That Remains by the Minimalists. It's a really good book. It's actually not too long. And in that, they talk about something called a packing party. Now, a packing party is where, like, it's also called, I think, the move out method. You pretend that you are moving. So you're essentially putting your stuff in boxes, and then you're only taking out the stuff that you use. Now, in this case, for the minimalist, it was a little bit more of an extreme case. I believe that Ryan Nicodemus was actually moving, so it made a little bit more sense, but you can use this concept in your own life. So another example of how we could use this is in the linen closet. We can have a packing party in the linen closet because it's a little difficult to like reverse the direction of the towel. The hanger is a little bit easier to see what's front to back, but it doesn't work so well like in a linen closet. So what you could do is that you take everything out of your linen closet and you first want to sort it. You have your sheets, you have your bath towels, your hand towels, your washcloths, your beach towels, any of those types of things. And you're going to kind of separate those out just so you have them by category, and then put them in a box or maybe a couple bins depending on what you have. You don't have to get super crazy with the organizing at this point, but as you use and wash your linens and towels, when you have washed them, that is your clue that you can put them back into the linen closet. And you're paying attention to what you replace them with. So for us, we have 2 sets of sheets and towels per person. So one is washed on a Saturday. I put the backup set on the bed or in the bathroom, and we kind of rotate those. Now, perhaps you have more than that. Perhaps you have 3 or 4 sets of everything per person. So when you do that replacement, however often you wash your sheets and towels, you're paying attention to, I always pick this set, but I don't pick this one. Is that because this set is kind of itchy or scratchy? Or my kids say that they don't really like this towel because it's not soft. Like, can we pay attention to some of those things and the reasons why we don't pick certain things? And again, depending on the frequency of how you do laundry, you might want to check in 2 to 4 weeks and see what you have actually used, what has made its way back into the linen closet, and what is still in the box. Okay, so those are some examples of either doing the reverse hanger trick or also that packing party. But let me give you a couple more examples and then we're going to go through those 5 steps. Another example is makeup or your personal care items. Now, one idea is that you take everything out and then set a timer for 15 or 20 minutes and separate out the things that you use every day. Now, you should have a good sense of what you use every day. I have an actual basket in one of my drawers and I just pull that out and it has my toothpaste, my contact solution, my face wash, both lotions. I have kind of a daytime and a nighttime lotion, my floss, sunscreen for my face, maybe 2 or 3 other things, and my toothbrush. So all of those things are kind of like in that basket, right? And I know what I use every day because it's the stuff in the basket, but perhaps you have everything kind of scattered in different drawers and different places. You want to separate out those things that you use daily, and you want to put them back in a way that they are front and center so they're really easy to grab. I would recommend using like a bin or a basket, something with a handle, a caddy, something like that. It depends on your space. But for the remainder of what is not your everyday stuff, I would put those in a bin or a box and move them to another area. Perhaps you're putting them in another bedroom or your linen closet or something where it's out of the way. And again, probably after a couple weeks, you're going to see what you used and what you haven't used. So now we're going to go to the kitchen gadget example. And as we're doing this, we're going to kind of work through these 5 steps that can really be applied all of these different places. But then at the end, when it comes to the, okay, I know what I haven't used, what do I do? We're going to go through some of those questions together. So here is kind of a 5-step approach and how you can do this, especially when it comes to the kitchen and maybe those kitchen gadgets. I literally just did this because my husband was here to receive our shipment, which meant that there were 8 days where he was unpacking with my in-laws and my parents, and I was still in Virginia. And my mother-in-law and mom put everything back to the best of their ability, given the storage that we have is very different than what we had in our old home. And it turns out we have a ton of kitchen gadgets. Now, I pretty much ignored most of them, but all of them were moved. And so all of them were coming into the new house. And there really wasn't a lot of space for them. So what I did was that I took everything out, with the exception of our everyday silverware. Most people have like that everyday silverware drawer. You don't necessarily have to take out every fork, spoon, and knife, okay? But for those kind of more kitchen gadgets that you have, and also maybe like your servingware, that kind of thing, taking it out, and you're gonna do an initial pass and separate out anything that you use 3 or more days a week. Here are some examples of things that I use. I use the vegetable peeler. I usually use the garlic press, the citrus squeezer. Is that the term? Citrus squeezer? For my lemons and my limes. And can opener. There's like maybe 4 or 5 that I use on a regular basis, right? And then we have maybe a couple other random ones, okay? And anything that you use with that 3 or more day a week frequency, go ahead and put those aside. And then for the things you use less frequency, we want to put that in another box, like a holding area that's not in the kitchen, not in those drawers. We don't want everything getting cluttered up. And that includes duplicates of things. So if you have like 5 spatulas, pick your favorite 1 or 2 spatulas, put the others in a box, okay? And this recommendation I love. You can't reverse a hanger. How do you know whether you're using this stuff or not? Well, one recommendation was using dot stickers or perhaps small pieces of washi tape, and you're going to essentially tag the remaining items. Don't go too crazy, but just pretty much if you've already done an initial pass, and now these are the things that you use pretty frequently, but there might be some maybes in there, go ahead and tag all those things. As you use them, you take the sticker or the tag off because we don't really want it to go through the dishwasher like that, right? And after a few weeks, you can see what gadgets still have stickers on them, okay? So now we have gotten to this point. So the 5 steps are, just as a reminder, taking everything out, okay? Step 2 is doing that initial pass of what you use at least 3 or more days a week, and then putting aside the things that you don't use. Number 3 is to use that dot sticker or washi tape on the remaining items. And 4 is after a couple weeks, seeing what gadgets still have stickers on them. This goes for the other examples. What makeup have I used? What towels have I used? What sheets have I used, right? We are getting to the point where it's like, oh, okay, I haven't used this stuff. What do I do? This is where we ask ourselves some questions. So step 5 is the most important for all of these. We want to see why we haven't used them. So here are some reasons, okay? They might be duplicates. They might be excess or like extra sets of things, or for toiletries and that kind of thing, you just have extra bottles of contact solution, that kind of thing. So you're going to be replacing with it, okay? Another category is just for when. What does just for when mean? Well, we know what just in case means. Just in case means, oh, maybe I'll use it someday if this certain thing happens. Just for when is for specific situations, okay? If you have guests, you use the sheets and towels assigned for guests. If you go to the pool, you use your towels for the pool. If you are going out for a fancy date night, you might have makeup that you only use for special occasions. If you have small tubes of toothpaste, you use those for travel. So some of those might be a combination where you have duplicates. You have a lot of maybe like little tubes of toothpaste, but maybe a few of them are for travel and the rest you can donate to like a homeless shelter or something, okay? Another category, especially for personal care, samples that you never liked but never got rid of. So you have like half-used things and you're like, oh yeah, I didn't really like that. And you can get rid of some of those things. And some of the other categories are, of course, aspirational clutter. This is really a big one. And episode 10, I talk about it a lot, but it talks all about aspirational clutter. This is like a gadget that you never use while you're cooking because you never make that particular type of food, okay? Aspirational makeup might be like you have like these fake eyelashes and then you like never spent any time doing your eye makeup. Maybe that's just me. And so you're like, I'm never gonna wear fake eyelashes. Why do I have them? So just understanding what those aspirational clutter type of things might be, those could be things that you could let go of. Aspirational clutter, duplicates, those are things that are more easily decluttered. And then you might have things that are kind of like, okay, well, yeah, this is just for when, I'm not really sure. Let's see if I actually use it. And at that point, if you're still not sure, you can use an out of sight, out of mind bin, where you're able to essentially extend what we've been doing in this reverse decluttering, because you're going to put a later timeline on it. So perhaps you checked over the past 2 to 4 weeks, what did I use? What did I not use? Now you've gotten rid of a lot and you're like, I'm still not sure about these items. Then you can essentially put another reminder on your phone for 30 days and see if you have used it in the next 30 days and then make a decision. So reverse decluttering is actually really helpful, and it is allowing you to experiment by using the things that pretty much you are using and loving the most and saying, am I okay with this? Like, if just this was all I had available, could I be okay? Would I miss any of this other stuff? And for the most part, in my experience, the answer is no. So reverse decluttering, a super helpful tool. You can go ahead and head over to the Facebook group again if you want to join our reverse decluttering challenge or any of the other challenges that we have. It's at tinyurl.com/moms overcoming overwhelm. And we will be back next week with another episode. So happy to be with you in my new home. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you next week. Bye for now. Hey Mama, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, could you please share this episode with another mom who is feeling overwhelmed? Also, it would mean the world to me if you could leave a 5-star written review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Finally, if you would like more support, come on over to our free Facebook group, tinyurl.com/moms overcoming overwhelm. Can't wait to connect with you soon.